name is Mona Yusuf, and by background, I work in my local county juvenile court as a referee, which is much like a magistrate, and I preside over child welfare and juvenile delinquency proceedings. I've been working in the field of child welfare and juvenile justice law for about 15 years, the last 10 plus of which have been in our local juvenile court hearing these cases. So I'm very familiar with particularly Southeast Michigan child welfare cases and cases where children have come into foster care. I did want to go over some general statistics. Nationwide, we have about 400,000 children across the United States who are currently in foster care, about a quarter of which are eligible for adoption. Here in Michigan, we have about 13,000 children who are in foster care, and again, about a quarter of which are eligible for adoption or seeking a permanent home. So what is foster care? Foster care is generally a temporary, safe, stable placement for a child during a time of crisis or a time of need. Children come into foster care because their parent or person legally responsible for their care is unable to meet their basic needs or places them at a significant risk of harm, making it unsafe for them to stay in their natural home. Children enter foster care anywhere from birth, newborn, up until age 18, and then they can stay in foster care up until about age 21, and they have support services available to them through age 26. That's all if needed. Some of the reasons why a child might enter foster care include that they have a parent or guardian who's experiencing some substance abuse, has unaddressed mental health issues. There may be some domestic violence in the home that's harming the child. The child may have been physically abused. The child may have been sexually abused. Sometimes it's simply that the parents are deceased. I do want to point out that I have recognized through my experience that the Muslim community is not immune to any of these issues. We have all the same problems: substance abuse, domestic violence, physical abuse, sexual abuse, mental health issues, and we have children entering the foster care system for those very same reasons. There's no immunity to our community. And I do see that as our population grows and expands, so does the number of Muslim foster children who are in the system and in need of homes. No child chooses to be in foster care. For those of us who have been raised in healthy and stable home environments, that's one of the biggest blessings that we could have asked for, and we didn't do anything to deserve it, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has been merciful with us and has given us that blessing of a stable home. And it is our responsibility to make sure that each child has that same opportunity to have a safe, stable, and nurturing childhood and a safe home environment to be in. The law does require the state to search for a foster home that is the most family-like setting to the home where a child is coming from. So that means that they're looking at religion, race, cultural background, and the state does try to place that child in the most similar home environment to the family that they're coming from, but the state is limited by the numbers and types of licensed foster homes that exist within that state. So while the state does, and I do believe that they do try to place Muslim children in Muslim homes, if there are no Muslim foster homes that are licensed available, then that child is going to go elsewhere. What are some of the benefits of having a Muslim child in a Muslim foster home? I would say it really does help relax some of the tension between the biological family and the state. Sometimes some families feel it's an us against them type of situation, but when they know that their child is being cared for in a manner that they approve of, they're eating halal food, they're being reminded of their prayers, they're following our religious and sometimes cultural expectations, that helps the biological family focus on their issues, focus on the issue of substance abuse or mental health or whatever it is, homelessness or poverty that they are addressing. It also helps the child feel comfortable, because for that child, it's familiar. It's, the same kind of food or the same kind of prayers that we say at night, or those sorts of things. So it really does help. The goal of foster care is usually to reunify with the natural family. But sometimes, and I would say it's pretty frequent, at least maybe a third of the time, and maybe that number is even higher, we're not successful in reunifying with the natural family. So sometimes a child enters foster care and we expect it to be a temporary placement, and it turns out that that child cannot be reunified with their parent, and the child then has parental rights terminated, and the child might be eligible for adoption. And so there are times when even Muslim children who are in foster care need a permanent home, and that's achieved through a plan of adoption. I do want to note and recognize and really applaud foster parents who step up and take care of children who are in foster care. I mean, they're innocent children with beautiful souls. And again, they didn't choose to be in foster care, but they are here and they need safety, they need stability during probably one of the hardest times in their lives. But they also have traumas that come with them. So every child in foster care has experienced some level of trauma, even just the trauma of being separated from your parent. That's traumatic, let alone the reasons that have caused them to be separated from their parent. And so I really applaud foster parents. I'm a parent myself, and I know that raising children is the hardest job that I've ever had. And I recognize that foster parenting is even harder than parenting. And yet it's one of the most important jobs in the world, because if we don't care for these children during their time of need now, as a community and as a society, we pay for it later.